Hi,
Hello.
welcome to
Buenavidaroute.
Buenavidaroute and our first live on
On
YouTube.
YouTube.
So we always do lives on Instagram, but we figured that today we would give this a go and see how it goes. So patience, we'll see how we do. We're going to be waiting for our friend Stephanie from Skoolie Vibes to join us. Please send her a message. Let's see. Let's send her a message. Tell her that we're live and that we're going to be waiting for her.
You don't have to invite her?
I already sent her the code.
Okay. Okay, somebody's in there.
All right.
Hmm.
All right. Let's see. For those of us that don't know us, I am Sherry,
And Andres.
and together, plus our three little dogs, we are
Buenavidaroute.
Buenavidaroute. We have a YouTube channel, as you might have guessed, since we're obviously on this platform that we've been trying to grow slowly but surely. And we're also on Instagram and TikTok. And on Instagram, we've been doing great. But on YouTube, we have definitely struggled a little bit on how to figure things out. So we figured that we would try this platform and see how we did.
Yeah.
So if you have any questions for us, if you're watching, please let us know anything you want to ask at all. So the topic for today is that we're going to be talking Skoolie versus RV. Our friend Stephanie has a Skoolie, and we have a Toyota 91 Dolphin that we have renovated. There's Stephanie. Let's see. Let's add her on. Wait. There you go. Hey.
Hello,
Sorry,
Stephanie.
it worked on the test run.
I know. So we're all new to this, so we all had to. You might have to scoot in there.
Yeah.
So we all had to learn how to do this today.
Yeah, we're learning on the fly.
We're learning on the fly. We're not
Yep.
we're not the techie generation, so we gotta we gotta learn as we go. Anyway, so I was telling people, which hopefully there is people. I don't know where to look to see if there is.
Me
people that
neither.
are-
Me neither.
we're not quite sure that there is people.
No, but we are live on YouTube. I'm checking it out.
Yeah, we did.
Okay.
We did
Uh-huh.
make sure that we are actually seeing it on our channel, so we are live. We don't
Okay.
know if anyone's connected. If you are connected, please comment.
Yeah.
Comment. Ask us any questions. All right. So I was telling people that the topic for today is going to be Skoolie versus RV, and the fact that you, the fact that you own
It's going down.
the fact that you own a Skoolie, and his name is Sarge, and we own an RV, and our RV's name is La Chata.
Bachata.
So,
And what does that mean, La Chata?
well, we named her La Chata because originally we had 3 Shih Tzus, and they're all flat-faced type dogs. So
Oh.
she's small.
And she's cute.
It just worked out with the fact that we had 3 small dogs. Wait, you can't hug me because it's too hot for hugs. It's too hot for hugs. Anyway,
Turn the
so
fan on.
And this
and
is
this is
Creamy.
Cremini. Turn around. There you go. There you go.
There's
See?
Creamy.
Yes. You have to be where your mama's at. Uh-huh.
And I named
all right.
my Skoolie Sarge just as like a layer of protection to make it seem like maybe a guy lives in it. So I think of like ex-military guy that lives in it. So that's why I named mine Sarge. I wanted it to have this masculine feel so that my safety. That's all I'm thinking about.
Which for single ladies out there that want to become van lifers or thinking about becoming van lifers is definitely a good tip that Stephanie's giving you.
Mhm.
Yeah, like don't people have even said go so far as to maybe even get like say some boots from Goodwill and just set them out there and just things that might make it look like a guy lives there. So just another little added layer of protection.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Well, I would say there's a lot of bad bee out there that would be just as scary as some big badass dude. So
Right. So it's just little small things that you can do just to be proactive.
Yeah.
Of course.
Yeah. That's one of the things that we've been thinking about putting in La Chata. I mean, I think we've been kind of trusting the fact that we still are like close to home.
Oh,
And-
Nora is there.
Oh, good. Thanks, Nora.
Hi, Nora.
Okay. Okay, you gotta go down. So we haven't actually installed like a camera system or a security system, but it's definitely something that we've been thinking about.
Mhm.
It's something that you got to think, because when you have a lot of windows, some of them that are like big enough for somebody to crawl through, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's one of those things that you got to think about. And when it's a bus, well, a lot of buses, they end up changing their main door to like an actual home door, but you haven't done that.
Mhm.
So
Well, I'm actually talking with someone, and because one day I saw, Andreas, you saw it, where like it looked like someone tried to pry my doors open, and I could see like the rubber was bowing, and we were able to get it back in. But so now I'm talking to someone about potentially changing my door. I don't want to put a house or residential door in it. I just don't like that look. So I just want to keep the doors I have, but have a piece of like metal, like kind of like in the middle, and then attach a lock onto that.
Yeah.
So right now I'm talking to some guys that we took measurements, and we're doing all this stuff, and they're going to fabricate that for me, and then possibly make one of the windows like an actual functioning window. So like maybe when I have a passenger, they can open it up and they can get a breeze. So we're talking about right now. So, but I am going to change it out. I still like the look of the doors. I don't want to change it so it doesn't look like a bus anymore, but just alter it and make it look, make it more safe for me, but yet still look like a bus. I still want that look.
Yeah. It was one of the things that I loved about buses, that you have that handle to open up the door, right? Or
That's-
I don't
I
have the handle. I just have a button I push.
I was just gonna say the more modern ones have a button, but I still kind of like the handle thing, right?
Yeah, yeah.
But on the downside of it, which, you know, for people that are starting to think about this whole van life situation of what kind of rig is best for them, obviously on the downside of it is that if you do keep the bus door, then you got to figure out some sort of security method for people not to just be able to pry open your door.
Yeah, I mean, I have, for me, my situation is just a little bit different because I do have a wall that's right behind the cab. So I have the wall that goes into the back house. And then I have like my door is like made of butcher block. And so I have a lock on it as well as a deadbolt. So I'm just being extra cautious by changing my door. But someone who didn't have a wall, absolutely, they would need to do something to make sure that they're safe with that bus door.
On that subject of you having a door, it's actually one of the things that I would point out for anyone that wants to do the Pan American route. When you put your rig in, whether you're doing it in Mexico, whether you're doing it in Panama, to ship it over to Colombia, they obligate you to close off your rig so that only the cabin or only the driver's seat is available to the person that's going to be putting the rig inside the container and then taking the rig back out when it gets to Colombia.
Oh,
so at
wow.
least you're prepared for that if you ever decide to join us and do that road trip down.
Oh, well, let me pencil that in. Let me know when you're going. I would love to do that.
If Nora has any question, let us know.
Sí, Norita, si tienes preguntas, nos avisas, chica. Okay. So, well, let's see. Why did you choose a Skoolie to begin with? From the many options, because obviously you could have done van or ambulance or like we did and already.
To be honest, cost. You know, to buy. So I had was looking last summer. I was looking at purchasing a van, a cargo van, and it was going to cost me about $35,000 for like a 2019, and I could get a bus for $10,000. So, and it's wider. It's wider than a van. So 2 people can pass. You know, you've been in it. You know, there's more room than you would a van. So, to be honest, that's why. I mean, I could get as much as I wanted for a complete build. That would be just a little bit more than an empty cargo van would have cost me. So to me, it was all about price. and I got a short one. It's not quite 22 feet. It's just under 22 feet. So it's really maneuverable, very mobile. Like I can go into any parking lot and get a spot and not be like, it's not overwhelming. It's not huge. It's not like an eyesore. It's like, it's small. And that's what I wanted. I wanted to get everything I could in a small space and still get around and still kind of feel like a van. But I just didn't have the price tag of having a van build.
When you started to drive it, was there any like, I don't know, like, did you feel any different from driving a regular vehicle, like that you had already driven?
No, my father, he had an extended length van, and I've driven trucks before. I've driven SUVs. This feels like a truck. It really does. It feels like a truck. So yeah, it takes a little getting used to. Like, you got to make sure you got to take wider turns. You guys know
Right.
with your rig, you just got to be more. You just can't like whoop, take a quick little turn. You go slower. You go wider. And, then once you get on a straightaway, it's no issue, so it's just being a little bit more.
For me, I always
Just-
drove trucks, but I felt like the one thing that has definitely changed about driving La Chata versus just driving a long bed pickup truck, which is basically the same size as what La Chata is the fact of the height.
Mm-hmm.
You definitely have to be more aware of the height, right? Like if you're in a park and you're not going to hit some branch that is a lower branch.
You need to tell what happened in.
Or like stupid me who went to Mount Rushmore and went into the parking lot on the exit side instead of the entrance side. So I hit one of our vents on one of those bars that comes across that tells you the height, which I obviously did not see. And so I broke the cover to our vent.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, if anything were to happen, I can I have a Max Air fan. I think it's just a little bit higher than what my solar panels are. But I think my max height is like, I want to say it's about 9.5. So I just 10 feet. That's just what
we are like 10.5.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we were at 10.5 when we used to have the older AC. And we replaced our AC. So we haven't measured it yet, but 10 would be like our safe zone.
Yeah, 10. That's what I just
And
assumed.
we had to measure when we went to South Dakota that we did the Needles Highway because it's very narrow. There's 3 tunnels that are really narrow and lower. We actually had to put our mirrors in.
That one was fun for children.
That was so stressful for me. I thought I had hit La Chata, and they kept on yelling at him because he was like recording in front of us.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, I hit it. He's like, no, you didn't. And I'm like, yes, I hit it. And I was almost crying. And there was like a huge line of cars behind me trying to go through this thing. And I'm like, no, I'm stuck here. I hit it. I felt like I was going to scratch the heck out of it. But fortunately, that wasn't the case. But yeah,
the line of cars behind you just added to the stress.
Right. But for sure, the height situation is what has gotten me to the point where I'm like, be more aware of things, right? Just like for instance, there's been times when we're like driving late at night and we're hungry and we don't have anything to like eat, but we can't go through a drive-through. You can't just.
And it's one thing that we notice about your bus. You change the lights. Or we change the lights.
Well, Andres changed your lights. But yeah.
Yes. Yeah,
well, that's
amazing now.
I guess that's another like disadvantage that we would point out to people that are buying maybe older cars or older rigs that obviously just have the regular lights that came with it. I don't even know what they were called. Incandescent?
Headlights.
I don't know. The headlight. Well, even the backlights too, or all of our emergency lights and everything. Andres also changed to LEDs. But of course, nowadays, newer cars or newer rigs would come with LEDs because that's just the tech that's. And so if you're buying an older rig and you're converting it in any way, shape, or form, definitely one of the things that we would say is change your lights to LEDs, especially when you're boondocking out in the desert. It makes a huge difference.
Oh, how you feel?
Yeah. And then also too, you just have to start going through, and thinking about your safety, like, would you want, your headlights to be, like dingy? No, you want them to be bright because you need to be able to see where you're going, especially if you're going in, it's like a foresty area or wooded area or BLM land.
Mhm.
You just need to be able to see, and you just need to have that safety. So, the headlights, the tires, how I just did my video on tires, like Andrea said, he goes, he goes through and does all these little checks before you guys even hit the road. So it's just,
Right.
you need to get in that habit of doing things just to make sure you're safe, because you're taking your home with you. So you need to make sure that, all these extra steps need to be taken, just for your safety.
And when we got stuck, something that we need to know too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I need to get a shovel. Even though my pot worked, I need to get a shovel.
So we'll have to tell them the story. So Stephanie and us, we were camping in BML land near Joshua Tree. And when we went to get out the next morning, Stephanie got out. And then when I pulled back, our rig got stuck. And we had a shovel.
It's also too because I drained my gray water tank and I got the sand a little bit muddy, a little bit thick and wet.
Yeah. And so we couldn't get out. And fortunately, we had picked up, I don't even know where, some random shovel that doesn't really work. Mm-hmm. But Stephanie had the brilliant idea to use one of her cooking pots as a shovel. And so each one of us, we were like shoveling the sand from each side of the rig. And then we finally were able to get her out, as I felt that I was bathing them in sand, because the two of them, Andres and Stephanie, were pushing La Chata forward and rocking her as I was trying to get her out of the sand. So I could just see in my room mirror, like the sand blowing in your, and they were like, "No, it's fine, it's fine." I'm like, "Oh my God, I'm so sorry."
That wasn't happening at all. Yeah, but I was like, "Yeah, my pot."
So I guess one of the things would be, obviously be prepared for things like that. Like we learned, we ended up having to use our levelers to get out of that mess. And we learned for sure, one of the things that you must invest in is a couple of tracks. I think they're called tracks, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Tracks, of course, that so that if you do get in a situation like that, you have a way to get yourself out. But
that's the thing, it's just getting out there and experiencing and like, oh, I need to start, having these things, on my rig. Oh, I need to have a shovel. Oh, I need to have. So you learn as you go. If you don't have every single piece that you would, you're not going to know every single item you're going to need until you come into a situation like, okay, I really need to be carrying those in my rig.
Yeah, we learned, like for instance, when we went to Montana, we learned that we needed a drill. I mean, fortunately we had it, but what I'm saying was like, it was so useful to have it. Otherwise we would have been there for who knows how long.
Oh, we need to tell that story.
Yeah, because we started driving out to.
Hi, Diego.
Oh, Diego's. Hola, hola. So we started driving to Glacier National Park, and we thought that we had gotten a flat because you could hear the tire, like, the noise that it makes when it starts getting a flat. Mm-hmm. And we got out and there wasn't a flat, and we couldn't figure out what the heck was going on until Andres realized that the nuts on the tire were loose.
Yeah, because happened to me before. I say,
so
I don't like that. Like when you know the sound, you say, okay, something is going on.
Yeah. So he ended up taking the drill out with I don't even know what the heck that thing is called. What's it called?
It's like a bug.
Well, so he tightened those up. Yeah. And then when we had our really bad accident that our tires blew out and we had like literally pieces of wood and fiberglass and like flooring and styrofoam and everything that was coming out of La Chata, we had at least the tools to be able to cut it away and make sure that it wasn't going to be damaging the new tires.
Always bring you tools, because you never know.
You must have a set of tools with you no matter what. And there's people that have told us like, oh no, it adds too much weight to the rig. Yeah, but in the long run,
you're not bringing a table saw. You're just bringing a drill.
But still, some of the tools definitely are heavy. Yeah.
Definitely.
But, something in your solar goes wrong. You need to be able to put the wire back together, or I don't know, your plumbing busted, at least have some sort of like putty and glue and something to be able to put it
Yeah.
back together. I mean, just something like the day that we were driving out to Vegas, although we weren't going to Vegas, we were going to Utah, but we were close to Vegas, and it was like over 100 degrees, and
Mhm.
one of our hoses bursted, and we were like, what do we do? So we ended up waiting until it cooled down. And then we literally took duct tape and just wrapped the hose in it, figuring this should last at least until we get to like an AutoZone or Pep Boys or something, and then be able to change the hose. And that's what we did. But if we didn't have the at least the duct tape, we would have been stuck on the side of the road for something as simple as that.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
So, for sure there's like basic things that you must travel around with to get you out of a jam.
Yeah, I don't have any tools, and since I'm part-time, hoping to go full-time, but I'm only part-time, so I don't have all those tools. I do want to go and invest in them and get them all and make sure I have them in there. Pretty much a basic, like a basic kit. But yeah,
well, even if you're part-time,
necessary.
so are we, but I would say that I think the difference has been when we've taken longer trips, right?
Yeah.
You're like 1,000 miles away or more than from where your home base is. And if something were to go wrong, what are you going to do?
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
and I actually, I joined an app where because I'm a member, I can find all the Skoolie mechanics all over the country. So no matter where I'm at, I can hone in on that city, that state, and then just find the closest Skoolie mechanics. So that's a little bit helpful. And I do have the AAA that I had to make sure that it can take a bus, not just a car, to a car. They need to bring the right equipment to handle the bus. So that's also something that I did.
We have AAA for RVs as well, which I'm going to guess is what they made you do, right?
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. It's not 100% guaranteed though. The time that we had the accident that our tires blew out, they told us they couldn't pick us up until 2 days later.
Mm-hmm.
So we would have been stuck on the side of the road in the desert for 2 days.
Yeah.
With no way to keep our food cold because our pipes blew out, with no way to cook because our pipes blew out. So, it would have been like 2 days of miserable weather on the side of the road just because they did not have the tow trucks to be able to get us out. It's not a guarantee. So that's why I'm saying, like, for sure, you always have to have a backup. Like for sure that taught us,
and always bring
always
lights.
have, always bring lights. But always have another way for you to be able to survive if your stuff inside the rig is not working. Like, my first thought was like, okay, fortunately we have a couple of wood burning stoves that we could have taken out and been able to cook. We always have portable water with us in case, because our pipe to the fresh water tank blew out, which meant we didn't have any water other than the one that we had taken in our separate gallons. Food would have been one of those things where we're like, okay, well, just eat up everything that you have in the refrigerator in the pantry before it goes bad. But just those second and third options that you think that you are carrying around with you that you might never need, believe me, you'll need them. And when you start when you start taking longer road trips, even if that's your first initial into it, it's definitely handy to have all of those type of things. Like when we first started thinking about it, or when Andres proposed it, and I was like, no, camping, not gonna fly.
And you're such a pro.
And then
now she's a pro.
He can tell you the first thing that I told him was like, it needs to have a way for me to keep clean. And now we have 3 different ways for us to be able, well, not quite right now because our plumbing still needs to be fixed. but eventually, shortly, hopefully, we have like 3 different ways to be able to take a shower in or around our rig. And so that was very important for me to make sure that even if we were like in some dusty place, I could clean off at the end of the day.
Yeah, and I even I got some of these. I think they're called Scrubbies, and they look like a dryer sheet, a fluffy dryer sheet. And all you have to do is just get a little bit wet, and like the more water you can add to it, the sudzier and more what is the lather, the more lathers. So, and it's just basically, it's like you get it wet, you lather it up, you wipe down, and then you dry yourself off with a towel. So it takes a minimal amount of water.
Wow.
Yeah.
You're gonna have to show us those. I haven't seen those.
Absolutely.
Before.
Yeah. I was I think, I don't know where I was. I thought it was Ventura when we were there, but I gave a few out to Jeff. Remember Jeff with the bike?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I was telling him about it, and so I gave him a couple to try. So he was supposed to report back to me, once he used it. But yeah, so there's another option besides like maybe baby wipes.
We're gonna have to leave that note there. The other thing that I want you to mention before I forget is, what app is that app for anyone that has a Skoolie or is thinking of getting a Skoolie? The app that you and all the mechanics.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I didn't. It's not an app. It's just like a membership. So I'm sorry. It's Skoolio, SKOOLIEO.com. And I want to say that a year membership is $25.
Oh, that's not
yeah, and I want to say then I think she added a lifetime membership for $50. So yeah,
go for the lifetime. Obviously,
go for the lifetime. Yeah. Yeah. One time you have to call a mechanic, it'll pay itself off.
For sure.
And we have been traveling with Stephanie. Where?
Okay, so I guess we should talk a little bit about that. So we met Stephanie through a mutual friend of ours, the Bacon's Rebellion, at a Tiny Fest. Yes, and now
Actually,
we went.
It wasn't them.
Oh, it wasn't them?
Nope. It was Tim and Amy. It was Amy, basically.
Oh.
So yeah. So it was, we had the Friday night, there was the pizza party, but then Saturday was like technically the first day of Tiny Fest. So then that night we had the potluck. And so everybody took their dish to the potluck. And then I was asking Amy, I said, okay, where are you guys sitting? She's like, oh, we're over there with Sharon Andreas. And I'm like, oh, okay. Didn't know who you were. I'm like, okay, over there with them that I don't know. And so then we came and sat down with them. And then you guys were telling your story about your, I want to say it was maybe like your first date, and Andreas cooked for you and he didn't do it right. And so then he never cooked for you ever again. That was the very first time we met you. And then because of that, the next day, day 2 of Tiny Fest, I said, oh, they're not that far. I could see you from where my bus was at. And I could see them. I going, oh, I want to go check out their rig. I want to go talk to them. And so that's where, I kind of like, hey, how's it going? Everything. And then at the 2 weeks later at Buenavidaroute, when we went there, it was like, oh, hey, I remember them. And then you guys were there. So it was kind of like, we didn't really connect until after, I want to say, Buenavidaroute.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Sure, for sure. Yeah, because I could have sworn that you already knew Aaron and Joe, and
I met everybody at Tiny Fest.
And why you went to Tiny Fest?
What's that?
Why you went to Tiny Fest?
Oh, well, so I live in San Diego, and so Tiny Fest is always held at Del Mar Fairgrounds, and so like for two years I wanted to go. I don't know why it didn't work out that I didn't go, but I really wanted to go. I just, I've been into this, tiny living for quite a while now. And then when I knew that my bus would be done and ready, I immediately, let them know. I was like, hey, I have a bus, I want to put it into the Tiny Fest. And they're like, absolutely. And like, I had no pictures. I had nothing to show them. Then when my bus was ready, then I sent the pictures and everything. And so my first time at Tiny Fest, my rig is actually in it. So that was my complete first experience with Tiny Fest. I didn't go to Tiny Fest and look at all the options. No, my first time was like, I had my bus there to share and show everybody. So yeah, that's how I ended up being in Tiny Fest.
That was very brave of you, because I mean, the majority of people that end up going to Tiny Fest go with the intention to tour people's rigs, either just out of curiosity or just because they're thinking of doing something. And so they want to see all the different possibilities that there are, right? From like the person that lives in like the teeny tiny little Prius to the person that has like the military truck to the person that has the 40-foot bus that has a jacuzzi in it. Remember that one?
Yeah.
The man with
Oh yeah.
75 gallons
parked
of
by
water.
me.
Wow.
That's crazy.
Yeah. No.
Hi, Milagros.
All right. Well, okay. So, like, for instance, when we started thinking about it, I really wanted a Skoolie, because one of the things that really attracted me to it was, one, that you get to build them yourself. And as a designer, which you are too, for people that don't know that, it was obviously more attractive to me than to have to conform to what was already in an RV. And two, the one thing that I thought that is really cool about school buses specifically is that they're made with much better metal and everything, because of course it's carrying around school kids, and so therefore it's much safer than how RVs are made, which are basically a sandwich between fiberglass, styrofoam, and a quarter of an inch of plywood, which is nothing, right? So on a aspect of later down the road you potentially having some sort of accident, I thought for sure a Skoolie would be safer. But funny when you said, that's why I had asked you the reason why you chose a Skoolie, that you said that the reason was economical, that you thought that it would be more economical to do a school bus, or well, to do a school. For us, the reason why we chose the RV was actually for that same reason. And we ended up I don't know. At the very beginning, we thought, oh, okay, well, it already has what it has. We're going to make it work. And we did remodel it around what it already had. We didn't really change the layout of it or anything. And we used the same cabinetry and everything that was there. And that's how we made it work. Now, we probably could have bought a school bus and done it, considering how much money we have spent, because now we have renovated her twice over.
Yeah, but we learned.
Of course, we learned. But I think, I mean, because in like all fairness, we paid $6,000 for La Chata. So it was fairly economical for us to have paid that and then put an X amount of money into like renovating her the first time around, right?
And I did a lot of research about what was the best car, economical and good motor.
Which was the reasons that came after the fact, right? So not only obviously the things were already built in, so you could already use that. Mostly it was like painting and decorating and changing or just more aesthetical things than like structural things that we had done originally. But the other great thing about the RV that we have, specifically, I don't know about other ones, but it probably is about the same if they're older, is that the motor is so easily fixed by pretty much anyone that can read a manual or anyone that can go on YouTube and find a video on how to fix it, because the front part of it, the motor part of it, is just a regular Toyota pickup truck. And the other aspect of that, it was because we have always been preparing for being able to take her internationally, not just to keep her within the States. So the idea was that we would be able to have something that we could basically find parts no matter where in the world we were. And Toyota is one of those brands that, it's everywhere. So we figured that it would be easy to do that. And on the other hand, most RVs the size of La Chata maybe give you 8 to 10 miles per gallon, whereas because of the motor that it has, we typically get more like 13 to 14 miles per gallon. And if it was important back when we got her in 2018, it's even more important nowadays, right, with the cost of gas. So that was definitely one of the factors. Not only was it economical in the very get-go, but economical through its history with us, right? The fact that we could support the motor, maintain anything that it might need down the road, and that we could learn how to do it ourselves.
Mhm.
And of course, that we didn't have to put too much money into our mileage to get from point A to point B.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
And
structurally, I still wish that we could have considered, like, if there was a bus that had all of those other things that I just mentioned, for sure that would have been my way to go, just because I feel that structurally they're made out of metal and they're definitely safer than
yeah.
the paperweight that we have.
Well, and I feel pretty lucky because the rig that I have, it's a Chevy. And it's an 07 Chevy. So I feel like parts would be easy to come by as well. And and it's like considered like a Chevy Express 3500. So, those are trucks that you can get parts for. I can't, when I go onto Amazon to look for, like Andreas helped me to get headlights. I can't look up a school bus. I can't look that up. I have to look up, what it's considered. It was a Chevy 3500, like a truck. So I would think that those parts would be, pretty easy, just like a Ford, to get those parts for my rig.
Right. Yeah, which again, for anyone watching, that is definitely one of those things that you want to take into consideration, that you can easily fix it down the road, because there's so many people, I feel, that are in rigs because they thought, oh, the space is perfect or the price is the right price, but they don't take into consideration the maintenance factor and the fact that because you're living in it, for most of us that eventually want to do that, you're living in it full time. You're definitely giving it more wear and tear than if you were, a regular person living in a house that just has a car that goes to work every day, or that has a car that just runs their errands or something like that. You're putting a whole lot more weight into your car than if it was just a car. And you are driving it usually longer distances than if you were just, driving it to work or something like that. So you got to think about that. Everything starts adding up: the wear and tear on the motor, the wear and tear on the tires, on the brakes, on every little part that moves and that needs to be operating your rig, basically. Because it's
and not
also
even just that. It's like, say, because of the metal that mine is made of, you have to consider rust as well. So that can eat away at your vehicle and cause it to have weak spots. So
it's what we learned when we had our accident. When we had our accident, Andres was like, oh, we're just gonna patch up the hole and it won't be that big of a deal.
No,
and
like that.
When we realized that the hot water heater had been leaking for so long that it had rusted out the metal beams that supported the subfloor. So at any point we could have stepped through our floor and just stepped right into it. So I guess, like now, almost a year later, we see it as a blessing in disguise, because we made sure that now structurally she is much safer than she was before. All the metal now is brand new. All the subflooring is brand new. And we also had the option of making her more our style and adding things that were more 2022, right? Like everything in the kitchen before was cubbies. And so for me to take something out of the cubby, I had to pull everything that was in front of it to get the one thing that was behind whatever else was in front of it. So I made sure that everything in the kitchen now are drawers. So I would just have to pull out a drawer and pull out anything that was in any space of the drawer. I don't have to stumble through all of the things. So things like that, and that every little space possible that could be used up was used up, to the point where, like, between the dinette and our bed, there was a space of 3 inches, and I created a little pull-out pantry that I can put a bunch of storage stuff in there. Or things that, like before, if we were to invite anyone over, we really only could sit 2 people, maybe 3. And well, as you know, because Stephanie has been to dinner and breakfast with us. We are
We
able
sat
to
way more than 2 people.
Yeah, we were
Uh-huh.
able to sit 6 people to eat a meal and play
Mhm.
games in La Chata.
And play games.
And
Oh,
it was
and that game was called Cards Against Humanity.
Cards Against Humanity. I keep on saying Crimes Against Humanity.
I thought it was Crimes too, but I was like, oh no, it's cards. It's cards.
Well, if Tim and Amy end up hearing this, that game must be coming by next weekend that we get together. But
That's crazy. That's a crazy game.
it is a crazy game.
Yeah.
So and that was one of the things that like we loved about being able to redo her, and that I thought about when we originally thought about maybe possibly getting a Skoolie. The idea that I love entertaining, I love cooking meals for people. And yes, you can, and most times you want to eat outdoors. That's the whole idea of this lifestyle. But sometimes weather simply doesn't allow for it to be that way. If it's really cold or if it's really hot or super windy, you know, you don't want to be outside with your plate full of food and sand all over it. So so for sure, when we did the forced renovation on La Chata, that we were able to do that banquette so that it pulls out and that more people can sit in it, it completely changed our vibe when we go out and we're able to have people over, and it just feels like a home, even if it's teeny tiny and even if it's like, you know, uncomfortable to get out of, kind of.
I think you get creative when you do these kind of things, you know.
Oh,
Yeah.
definitely.
For
Yeah,
sure.
because you have to be able to think differently because you're in such a small space. You know, and you got to get creative and you make it work. And, you know, like Laura had to sit on that little stool like way away, but you know what? It worked. So, you know, if you want to make it work, you'll figure it out.
Thankfully, Laura's nice and skinny, so she was able to do that. All right. Well, on that subject, do you want to tell people the fact that you might be going towards, or I don't know if I'm spoiling it, but that you're thinking about possibly doing plans to build rigs, design rigs?
I don't know yet. I've had a lot of people reach out to me about doing design work on rigs, and just off of what I've done on my Skoolie. I don't know yet because I don't know how it'll work remotely. You know, because you know, as a designer, I have to, you know, with interior design, I have to interview my client. I got to understand, you know, what they think might be French country might not really be French country. It might what they think it is. So I have to get all that information out of them. I got to really interview them. They're interviewing me. Can we work together? You know, if there more than one person, you know, if it's a male and a female, and I have to design for both, and they both have completely different ideas, you know, how do we marry those two together to get so they both get what they want? So it's you know, it's something I'm not really sure about, you know, again, and doing it remotely, you know, because I'm going to be in a space and I'm going to measure it out. You know, I got to measure out every little detail, and from one corner, you know, how much there is wall, and then window, you know, to window. And, you know, I mean, I have to, so I know how to, you know, design it, decorate, space plan it, everything. So I'm not really sure how I feel about it. I do have one person that's in Texas. She wants to be my guinea pig. She wants to see if we could do it. If I could help her do a design with her van from where I'm at in San Diego, and she's in Texas. So, you know, I might give it a try. And if it seems like it works out, and, you know, kind of come up with maybe a design package of what I can do since we are remote from each other. You know, I'm just not sure what all it would entail as far as like what I would offer, what services I would offer for them. And everybody's on a budget, and, you know, like, you know, when you have a budget and then you plan the entire design, and then you oversee it, you project manage it. So that's going to be different, you know, remotely. So I don't really know just yet what I want to do with that.
Well, I will say that, like, for my business, and for people that don't know, what I do is I do furniture design. I build furniture. And throughout the pandemic, our business definitely changed quite a bit
Mhm.
because people were so afraid to come into the shop to look for materials,
Mhm.
to find ideas, to, oh, let me see what it is that you guys can do. That wasn't happening. And so, but we still had to run a business. I mean, I didn't have anyone that here's 100 grand for you to survive in the meantime and pay your employees. We all had families that we had to support. So the business continued even throughout we never really stopped or closed down. But I think that one of the things that taught me the most, because I was very much that, right? Like I go to my customers' homes, I measure out their space, I talk over with them what it is that they want to achieve from this space, what styles they like, what colors, what the space is going to be used for, etc. And so, of course, you end up, having all those notes, and then you're designing the space around what it is that they have, their expectations are.
Mhm.
But because people weren't going, and I didn't want to go into people's homes either, a lot of the pieces that we were doing, we were putting it on people's balconies or people's front yards, and they were
Yeah.
bringing it into their house because everybody was so scared. So, but my customers learned and I learned to video call and to basically say, here, you need to put the measuring tape over here and now take it to this point and then show me what that says, and now take it to this point and show me what that says. And we did tons of projects like that, and I would just send them the samples directly to their house in an envelope, and then they would see, text me back or message or email me back the pictures of the ones that they wanted to have done. And when they would say, oh, I want a chair that looks like this, and I'm like, are you're sure that that's what you mean? And I would just send them pictures of the chairs or send them pictures of the different pieces that they wanted to have done to make sure that what they think that is modern is actually what modern is. So it's definitely doable. And I think that once you start doing things like that, especially with rigs, maybe the fact that there's like a certain amount of rigs out there that you probably would be doing, whether they're vans, right? Like sprinters or rams, or there's like a few that are more popular. And so maybe those packages. Um, at least construction wise, it would probably get to the point where some of the measurements would be pretty standard for all of them because they're the
Mhm.
same band on the inside, basically. Whether you do, I don't know, the bed that lifts up and down, or that turns into a sofa, or that it's a fixed, or that it's two benches that then convert into a bed, and those obviously make a difference. But other than that, that's possible. It's possible. You would just have to be patient, and your customers would have to be patient to
Mm.
be more involved in the process because you're not in the same space.
And
Yeah, well, I'm
create.
not physically there. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But it's definitely doable, I think, at least from a perspective that I'd never thought that my type of business was the type of business that I would have been able to do online. And yet we managed to survive for 2 years basically doing everything online and still being able to do pieces of furniture for people where they would be, I left you the fabric on the check outside in my balcony, come and pick it up.
Yeah.
And then I return the piece of furniture to them. So it is definitely possible.
Yeah,
Um,
just like lots of opportunities right now that I'm just exploring, and I don't know, just trying to keep my options open. And like I said, with this one potential client who, like I said, wants me to use her as a guinea pig and see how this works, to see if it's something that I want to offer other people, because I do have probably at least half a dozen
nice.
that have, yeah. So again, I'm just we'll see how it goes. And plus, I want to for sure make it affordable. Because if someone is building a rig and wanting a rig designed, I'm assuming that they're going to be on a tight budget. So I want design to be affordable for everyone. So I want to make sure that I'm able to come up with something that is affordable, and so that they feel like that they got a designer's assistance or hand in their build.
Right. All right. And I think one of the last things that I want to know is, how is YouTube treating you? Because
As you're learning.
because you have gotten out how many videos now?
I have 2 videos and I have 3 shorts.
Okay. How have you been learning and doing and feeling and all of that?
Right. And it's good to know because people want to start a YouTube channel.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
Important.
The main thing I think is you just have to be you. You know, I struggled with even starting the channel, and I really struggled with starting the channel, and thought I had to have my trailer ready because everyone, needs to see my trailer and what my whole channel is going to be about. I kept thinking I needed to get all these shots and all these different things filmed, but my other friend was just saying, just get a video up. And I'm like, and then I had the opportunity, when I had Jess and Sean say that, hey, they could help me, try and figure out what's going on with my solar panels and my solar system. It was like, this could be an opportunity right here to film. So, I was able to film going up there. I was able to film when we were there. I was able to wrap it up. So, and then learning how to use iMovie. So basically, and that's another thing too, is like everyone thinks they need all this equipment. They need all these special things to have a successful channel. And I'm not saying that I'm successful. I'm just starting out. So I only have a few subscribers, but I have my phone. I'm using my phone. And I used iMovie. I have an iPhone and I use iMovie. And I just did it real simple. I already had a logo. I had a jingle that I had made, a couple of years ago. So I had my own little jingle, I had my logo, and I was able to incorporate everything into the iMovie. And, for as long as I was struggling to just even start it, it was just, self-doubt, it was all in my head. Mm-hmm. And until someone shared something with me, it said something around the fact that there's room for all of us out there.
Exactly.
It doesn't matter who you are, what you do, what you look like. If you can educate or inspire or entertain, one of those 3, if you can do that, people will watch you. So I'm like, okay, I can be a goofy,
Definitely.
I'm a goofy character. So, just, okay. So hopefully I am entertaining them if I'm not educating or inspiring them. Things that I learned about the solar panel, which that was really, really, a really, really good lesson to learn. Like he said, just always jiggle and check everything to see if everything is connected. So like, okay, mental note. Okay. Maybe other people might not know. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And then with the tires, when we were in Joshua Tree with that gentleman at the pool, and he explained to me about the tires, and I was like, I didn't know that. Mm-hmm. And so I thought, well, maybe other people don't know that. So, then I shared that. So it's like, if I can share some things that might help educate you, or like I said, inspire you, or just being, a goofball in front of the camera, again, there's room for all of us out there. So I just had to get over that fear, that analysis paralysis that I was like stuck in, and just go for it. And I just have my phone, and I just have iMovie, and I've got 2 videos up, and I used the same thing when I did the shorts. It was something I already posted on Instagram. I just had to go back and change the music on those because I couldn't use the same music that I do on Instagram, because Instagram I can use whatever I want. Right.
We've learned that lesson already. Yeah.
We have been. Diego say something.
Yeah. So I just have to. I have a whole list of ideas for videos. And so it's like, okay, now I just got to get, I forget to get the phone out and start filming. I forget that. So that's something that I need to start thinking. Yeah, I just, you're just like, oh, I gotta go do this, and you go do it, and you just, oh, I should have brought my phone.
I
So
realized that when we went to Joshua Tree, I barely filmed anything because we were having so much fun that I completely forgot. So
but you have
Diego,
a sidekick. You have a sidekick who is filming.
I know.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So
And this
Diego
filming-
says, in La Chata, I really like the extension that was added to the bed that is on the dining table. Now 2 people can sleep there. That's very clever. Thank you, Diego. Yes, we made it so that 2 people could sleep inside the rig too, because we have an enclosure outside the rig, but we wanted to make sure that people would be warm inside the rig.
And it's another thing, like small YouTubers, probably we need to work together.
Yeah,
You
we've
always.
considered that. We should do like a union of small YouTubers to help each other grow.
Yeah, because
or you can even have like say monthly chats, where like people start to get to know you and they want to come back and they want to hear what we talk about. And I think sharing and doing this together, it helps us get different perspectives of what's going on in our experiences. Again, it could be a van, it could be a Skoolie, it could be an RV, it could be an ambulance, it could be anything. And we all have different perspectives and different experiences. So I think it all helps when you come together. And you're right, sharing and helping each other with YouTube is definitely a good
now
thing.
that we know how to do these lives, because this is our trial. Now that we know how to do these lives, this particular way that we were doing it today even allows a total of 10 people to be on it. So for sure, I think we need to start doing them more often and just getting other people to educate more people about how it is. And I also feel like we meet a lot of people that I don't know, that maybe don't think that this is something that you do after a certain age, or that you don't do it until after a certain age, right? There's like all these little I wouldn't say discrimination.
Stereotypes.
Yeah, exactly. Like you're either the 20-something-year-old who's like hiking and surfing and throwing off yourself of planes and traveling the world, or you're the retiree that you already did your life and you finally like bought an RV and now you want to enjoy your last days in an RV.
Last days.
I don't know.
Last days.
Well, I mean, I don't know, your last couple of decades or something like that.
Your last chapter.
Your
The
last
next chapter.
chapter. That's a better way to say it. But like, so when we meet people that are our age group, it's always nice to know that actually is out there, right? That it's not the 20-something-year-old or the 65-plus-year-old, that there is everything in between. And a lot of us that were from this generation.
But we also can learn about technology. That's something
Yes.
takes time, but we learn it.
Yeah.
We can adapt to everything.
Yeah.
And I think people are, I don't want to say waking up, but they're just realizing that we don't have to do things exactly the way society expects it.
Correct.
Go to school, go to college, get a job, work for 30, 40 years, then go out and have fun. It's like, it doesn't have to be that way. And, I think a lot more people are understanding and realizing that, instead of taking on the debt of a mortgage, they could have their rig and take on that debt. And then once that debt is done, just like with a house, they can continually move around. They can, like you said, have your rig shipped over to, Costa Rica. You can have your rig, sent somewhere else, and you can explore another country. So,
or saving money to get land.
And also too, my friend, he had posted on his story, everybody seems to think that, you have to have all this money and you have to buy this, this new van, and you have to do this and you have to do that. And he goes, I didn't have any of that. He goes, I didn't have my parents' support. He goes, or their money. He said, I just saved up a little bit. So I got a down payment for a van. He bought it as a shell and he just added as he went. And he said, he goes, if you want it, you'll make it happen. And that was my thing. I wanted it. I focused. I made a decision, and I was determined to make it happen. And I did everything that I needed to do to make it happen. And then once it did happen, it's like I'm meeting amazing people. You know, I can call the two of you good friends now. And it's only been like 3 months. And but it's like I feel like I've known you for so long, and it's just you just have that vibe, you just have that connection. And like I truly think that so many people can have this, and it's just maybe a little bit like it's not the norm, and it's okay to not be the norm. It's okay.
Right.
Because it's being much more accepted, and the community out there is amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing,
We can do
because
it.
everyone's willing to help each other. It's like we have this same thought process, and you can do it. Oh, I'll help you. You can
Right.
do it. Oh, I'll help you. Like, hey, how do I do this? Oh, I'll help you. It's an amazing community. Amazing.
Yeah, that was the one thing from the very beginning when we started doing it that surprised us the most in such a positive way, that the community is just so helpful, so willing to take their time to teach you
Mhm.
something new.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
In different cultures.
yeah,
That's another
that
thing.
that was one of the other things. So for sure that
Mm.
we've met people from all ways of life, from so many different countries, and it's always nice to just share a
Mhm.
little bit about, all of their life experiences and how a lot of them are so similar, even though they're so different, right?
Mhm.
And how we all ended up being in this nomadic lifestyle for one reason or another, but we all kind of have similar stories of why we are here.
Yeah. And we're all part of one large tribe because we have a little rig on wheels.
Mhm.
Right.
That's the one thing that brings us together, is you have a little rig on wheels, and that's what brings everybody together. It doesn't, nothing else matters. Nothing else matters.
For sure, I think that like when we started out, and now that we've been in it for a while, I feel when people ask me, I'm like, I think that the number one thing is like, just leave your fears behind, because it's way less scary once you're in it than when you
And
want to start out.
and something that we notice that we need to take care of nature, and that's the
Oh,
main
that's
part.
huge also in our
Yeah.
community, which is one of the things that attracted us the most.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
most of us are so conscious about, not getting more stuff, not putting more plastic into the planet, not leaving trash behind, enjoying nature as it's meant to be enjoyed. No, don't leave any trace behind. So, yeah.
Yeah. So as conservative as we are, like say with water, because we know we have a certain amount on board and that's it. You don't think about that when you're at home. You don't think about like, how much water am I using? You just go with the flow. But
Right.
so it is different. It is like you're doing things that are much more, earth friendly than if you were in a regular home. I'm not saying that across the board. There are people out there that are, but on a typical basis, people aren't really thinking about it. They might buy better products, but I think water is a huge waste, But when you're in a rig, you got to think about that always.
We've changed our mentality when we're here at the house towards water, just from being in La Chata,
Mhm.
right? Like, I wash dishes at home like I wash dishes in La Chata, which means I soap everything up and then I rinse everything off. I don't just leave the faucet open. Or, now we take showers where, like, you get wet, you lather up, you put your shampoo in, and then you get wet again and you take it all out. You don't like leave the shower running off. And like,
Yeah.
I even told our roommates today, there's a water shortage. We can't water our lawns, and you got to make sure that if you're doing a laundry load, please make sure that you're doing a whole laundry load. Like, if you only have 2 to 3 things, don't do it.
Everybody
So
throw a load in together, make one giant load. Did you guys are you guys in a restriction like as of June 1st?
Mhm.
Yes, I heard that was coming.
Yep. We could only water our lawn Mondays and Fridays for 8 minutes. And if your bill comes at a higher rate, like if you're actually spending more, you're going to get fined. So
I
it's
heard
not like, oh, I don't give a crap. It's like, you have to give a crap because you're going to get fined. So it's pretty serious. And there's a hotline out there so that if you see other people wasting water, like washing their cars or washing their sidewalks or anything that they shouldn't be doing, there's a hotline to tell on them, which I find kind of.
Oh my gosh, this is just crazy. This is so crazy.
Why are we in that situation is the question. If we would have been taking care of research from the beginning, we wouldn't be in the situation that we're in. But there's wasteful people.
I think everything needs to change. About your experience in Peru too, that one was really sad. We had to be conscious about what we're doing.
Yeah. Yeah, if we think it's bad over here, it is definitely way worse in other countries. So
yeah, I know it's we don't have that here yet. I haven't heard, but we don't have that yet.
San Diego, it's because you guys are recycling water way better than we are in LA County.
Yeah, I do know that we have serious, programs and facilities where they are doing that. They are, turning wastewater into drinking water. So, huge facilities. So I guess maybe that is helping us, but that doesn't take away, well, I don't know but how that is with like watering your lawn or like washing your cars. But yeah, we do have that.
I think that the bottom line is that we should all just be more conscious about, when you are in your rig, like you mentioned. And it's funny to me because every single time that you hear somebody being interviewed about their rig, they're always saying like how many gallons of fresh water they have and how long that lasts them, right? So like there's people that have really big rigs and can afford to have like a 75 gallons or 100 gallons. We only have 14. So and that they can easily survive sometimes up to 2 weeks with that. Sometimes it's family of 4 people with 2 weeks with that. And I think to myself, that's probably how much people spent one day in a regular household. In one day.
I met a gal and in her van, she showed me she uses like a little spray bottle and she has it mostly with water, but then there's also vinegar and some dish soap in it. And so she takes that. She doesn't even run the water to do the dishes. She spritzes her dishes with that and wipes them down. And then she takes a paper towel. And so she has like probably the same amount of water as you. I'll just say she has a 20-gallon tank. But I was blown away by that. I was like, what? Yeah, that is conserving. Yeah. And so she showed me that. And I was like, wow.
It also depends on how you cook, I guess.
I
cook a little too much for that to happen.
Okay, I'm going to share a little story. So when their water was out, I'm like, you cook, I'll wash the dishes. Yeah, there is no way that I could have done that with the dishes that I was washing. There is no way. No, not when you have like cast iron pans and, the way you cook, the way Sherry cooks is like at home, a full-on meal, delicious, amazing food and food from her country. And there's no way I could have watched
If somebody wants to travel with us, let us know.
I always think that people can do that because I have heard of that method before. And I always think that people that do that is like the type of person who like, I don't know, made themselves a sandwich or opened up a cup of ramen noodles or,
Well, and then, and then she
or
also
just
said,
had a one-pot meal that they served themselves in like a little bowl, and that was it.
And also said like using paper plates and paper bowls, and I'm like, that's more wasteful.
That defeats the purpose. Exactly. You're not washing dishes. You're not using water, but you're producing all this trash. So, when people. When we first got together with our group of Toyotas, that was one of the tips that people said. Oh, just use paper towels. I mean, paper plates and disposables. And I was like horrified by it. I'm like, first of all, why would you have the space in your rig to have a big pack of disposable plates and disposable? And then where do you put all that trash that you generate? let alone that, okay, let's say that you drove it out to whatever trash can you eventually found. How much trash are you putting out in the world from you're supposed to be living in like 80 square feet of space? You're supposed to be using less, not more.
Yeah.
So
if I have to sacrifice a shower so that I can use more water to wash dishes, then I use a scrubby. I'll use one of the little scrubbies. And,
Right.
and then I just get it a little bit wet. I can use even a bottle of water and just put a little bit of water on it, and it completely lathers up.
Right.
So it's kind of like it's a balance for sure. But I don't think there might be a few things that I can wash that way, but I don't think majority.
No.
Definitely not when I'm camping with you, because like you're gonna cook. Girl is gonna cook.
Yeah. All right. Well, Stephanie, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for having me.
We will see you next weekend, right?
Yeah, if all goes well. So far, I think everything's gonna be okay. But so then when I have my first live,
absolutely, we're on board.
Of course,
absolutely.
All
we
right,
can teach you how to do it too.
Good. All right, thank you again. You guys have a good night.
And people
okay. Well, everybody can find her at Skoolie Vibes on Instagram, on YouTube. Are you also doing TikTok?
No, I'm on Facebook.
Okay.
Yeah, Facebook.
On Facebook.
And then I have my email is skoolievibes@gmail.com.
All right. So any questions that you may have, if you want to see her rig, if you want to get designed a rig, maybe down the road.
And thank you, everybody.
All right. Thanks, everybody, for joining us.
All right. You guys have a good night. Okay, bye.
Bye.